Hello, everybody. It's Joshua Hayes here with BigWaveTrading.com coming to you with the stock market wrap up from 8/7 for you to use, I believe, on August 10th, I believe, right? 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever. Anyway, it's quite interesting. I'm going to go ahead and turn my fan down. Sorry, everybody. It's quite interesting that we started to have the sell off that we had yesterday on the NASDAQ and S&P 500. And it appeared that we could finally start another base building area, which we really haven't had since this area in June, which did not produce any perfect stock charts. The closest one that it produced was Rhino. It was our best one. The next best one that it produced was Vita. That turned out well, didn't it, yesterday? Turned out real well. So if you were a person that went long ADY back in July, then moved your position over to Cena, then moved your position over to Hearn, then moved it over to MLNX, then TKLC, and then moved it back over to, I'm going to go backwards here to hit it, Vita. You're probably broke. You probably don't have any money left now. Your $100,000 has probably turned into about $10,000. From ADY, Cena, Hearn, MLNX, Vita, and so many others we can post that have just been crushed. It's been ridiculous how this market's treating stocks. Yet, the indexes keep hitting new highs. Congratulations, NYSE. However, look at the NYSE's relative strength line now. Look at it down here. It is breaking down, yet here's price now hitting a new closing high. La-di-dee. Take out the selling from yesterday. We have an accumulation day. And then you look at what it's compared to the S&P 500. You can see new highs it hit, closing basis. Voila! Accumulation. What a wonderful two-day pullback. Oh, these bases of 1, 2, 3, 2 days breakout and another pullback of 2 days and a breakout are just wonderful. No, they're not. As one great investor, James DePora, said, it's beyond reasonable and it's beyond frustrating. Why does he say that? Because study my past big winners. Look at those bases. Even look at this. Let's go look at EGHT. Does it still exist? Let's go back to 2003, back in the last uptrend. I'm going to go right before the breakout. So even during the uptrend, look at the NASDAQ during this time. 2003 rally. Okay, now look at the NASDAQ during the 2003 rally. We got the initial base it comes out of, then it breaks out. Then it bases, breaks out, bases, breaks out, bases, breaks out, bases, breaks out. At least another small base, breakout, and here's another small base. However, just these little bases are enough to help make a base in a stock like EGHT, which then leads to the bounce of the 50-day moving average on strong volume. There you go. You got those 3 days. Quite clear. Buy signal. Then you got the huge buy signal. And here's what it looked like to me on my charts whenever you scrunch them up to how I see them on my laptop. So there's the buy day. Quite clear to me to go long. Not even a question needs to be asked after all that green bop. But it isn't a huge load up on. Now it is. And then, of course, it just works right. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't have max green bop the entire way in the base, but it does have green bop, a positive bop at least the entire way. And before that, has a max green bop for 1, 2, 3 full months of max green bop. Before in the base, it lost it, and then it still held on to green to break out. We don't have anything like that. Rhino was as close as it came, and the bottom line is that it's just not good enough. Now, what did EGHT do from here? You can see right here. And then look at the clear sell signal it gives also. I think that's pretty clear, right? Gap breakout, 78%. Let's look at an arithmetic chart. Look at this. Isn't that clear? That's clear to me that that's a sell signal. And right here with that reversal intraday, you got almost volume as big as the day before. Yeah, 11% intraday. It got all the way up there, and it came all the way back down from $8. And then the very next day, if you didn't believe it was sell, now look at your 3-day chart, what it looks like. Look at that reversal. Clearly, it's a sell. That's a sell signal. That's a huge sell signal. So to me, it was quite easy. So if you bought the first day that I told you to go long, at the top, you had a 295% gain. If you got it from the second long, you still had a 238% gain. And look, 1 month. 238% in 1 month compared to our best long, technically with the best chart pattern, Rhino. And now you have it reversing today. So the most you got out of it was 71%, or from the right load up buy, 67%. That's not 238% gain. And that's because our markets are not building the proper bases. 2-day pullbacks are not like multiple week pullbacks to create the right kinds of bases. So here's the March uptrend. There's a first base. There's a base. Really? This is a right base. And then this is a right base. But it didn't create anything. So we've only technically had 2 proper bases in the uptrend. In May and in June, July. And it technically, seriously, it didn't produce anything. It's not good enough. Look at the volume on the uptrend here. Below average in July after some distribution. Look at the volume here on the way up. Below average. So there just wasn't any accumulation, and that's why we just don't have any perfect charts. And that's why the few charts that do look hot, like VITA, they're dangerous because they're not off the 50-day moving average or the high day close. And whenever you don't have super long max green bop coming into the base, you're going to need max green bop all the way in the base, like Rhino had. See, he didn't have a ton going into the base. Here's it going into the base. Here's it breaking out of the base. Look at that base. I mean, does that look like 8 did? No. So to me, it's quite obvious that this rally is like all wrong. That this is a horrible, horrible rally, short covering rally, short squeeze rally, whatever you want to call. But bottom line, it's just not good. I mean, I just don't like what I'm seeing, period. There's no basing, and there's no perfect charts. Can slim stocks reverse? Here's a stock I loaded up on, Star, thinking that, okay, well, this move right here with its base, with this weekly chart, how it's rounding out, should unleash a huge bull market. Well, by here, there's your top, 13% gain. And then here's another one based on its chart pattern and its fundamentals and what could happen, should unleash a huge bull market. Well, granted, the move was V-shaped right here. To me, it's clearly a V. Got to do 2-day, come back. There you go. There's the clear V right there. Still, it should work, I figured. With the weekly as bullish as it is, new highs, I mean, it should work. Of course, what does it do? Reverses right there and final full sell. Got to get out of all of it. And now it's kind of just doing nothing. It's building this, here's how I see, patterns all the time in my head. It's building a pennant formation, but this pennant formation's got a lot of noise in it. A lot of wild price action, not very, bullish with the tails, but there's a lot of shaded candlesticks, and now Bop's turning red. I tried to break out reverse with the red Bop. I mean, it probably won't work, but maybe it will. But it's odd that we rallied again today, and some of my best stocks like OMN, not to new highs. Rhino, one of my leaders, not to new highs. Fuki. By the way, I'm out of almost all these now. All these that you see running up. Fuki, you can see that make new highs. Look at what Dan did yesterday. Dan, big breakdown. Here's one that's still going that I got a big gain in. Car. You don't know what my gain is. 52%. You guys don't know what my gain is from Dan. 174%. And non-subscribers, I want you to know, here's some of the gains I have from the March bottom. ATSG, 123% since I went long. And look at what it's trying to do. It looks like it's trying to reverse. All right, Dan is up 174% for me. 10 is up 87% and still looks good to go for more. Fire is up 112% for me. And it looks like it's getting just a little carried away, don't it? AVNR is up 129% for me. Notice how it's losing its green Bop, yellow Bop. Now, granted, it's in a very long pennant formation. We can connect these highs, connect these lows, see what it wants to do out of there. But for right now, I'm long from back here. In May, this is my long area right here. There's 129% gain. And then also, there's a ISTA, 130% gain. Here's my ISTA long. 120%, I'm sorry, 120. I wrote this down wrong in my portfolio. So I'm glad I actually showed that because I don't like misrepresenting my numbers. So that's good. And then, of course, AFX has been a short-term holding. The buy was right here. 47% in a very short amount of time to go, along with the Rhino up 70%. Then, of course, there's SMED. And look, no, what I'm trying to show you is that look how they're not hitting new highs. Remember I showed you SP 500 New York Stock Exchange is? But notice how all my big winners are not. ISTA, not a new high. AVNR, not a new high. ATSG, not a new high after the breakdown. Dan after the breakdown, not a new high. Rhino fell today. Fuki fell today. ISTA, not a new high. Kong up 139%, not at a new high. There's my Kong long all the way back here whenever I got green bot bounce. I should have added here, and I sold, and I should have known better, whatever. 139% gain. And then OMN, as you see, not a new high. OMN is a 72% gain. Notice how it's not at a new high. So the only stock that I showed you was 10 that's hitting a new high, 87% gain. Here's where I went long. Here's where it's